The thaw hasn't officially started yet, Dave Brown, but there's some things going on in Major League Baseball or peripherally to Major League Baseball that should get us, hopefully, some movement, especially on the Twins side of things. We're going to talk about all that along with some news and notes. This is Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello again, and welcome back to Locked On Twins. I'm your host, Brandon Warren, and you can unfollow me on Twitter at Brandon_WARNE, and across the screen, chatting with me today, Mr. Dave Brown at Answer Dave Brown. Dave, how goes it today?
Hi, Brandon. I'm feeling a little bit of the thaw, as you mentioned in the cold open, but not too cold.
Yeah. It's 8 degrees where I'm at, and that's actually an upgrade. It's supposed to be in the 20s by the end of the week. So I don't know. I mean, not that exciting, but I'll tell you what, for where we've been, it's a good place to be going.
Just as the blood circulates, it's a little easier to discuss baseball.
Yeah, more realistic. You can kind of wrap your brain around X number of days until baseball is happening. We're less than a month away from the Twins reporting to spring training. Bobby Nightingale, yes, the son of our good friend Bob Nightingale, who's a Twins reporter, said that dates were set. I believe the Twins report on Valentine's Day, and then the 18th is their first full workout, so pitchers and catchers report. But anyway, starting to get that feel already. But first, thanks for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're hanging out with us on YouTube, we also greatly appreciate that. That's very helpful for us. We're doing a lot of fun stuff there with our 24/7 channel as well. Make sure you check that out, Locked On Minnesota. And if you want to be involved in the show, feel free to shoot me a DM at Brandon_WARNE or at Locked On Twins, or hey, Dave Brown, can they hit you up too?
Yeah, just be relatively polite about it, and if I hit it off with people online all the time, it's not that hard.
But then you went through the looking glass in my mentions today, and I apologize for what you've been through, but I know you're a survivor. I know you're strong, and I know you're going to be okay.
I have the eye of the tiger, not literally, because that would be kind of an Island of Dr. Justin Morneau kind of weird thing if you had like a tiger's real eye.
Actually,
but figuratively speaking, I'm a tough guy.
I don't know if I can. I can know if I can find it here. I probably can't. But
this is song queued up.
Completely beside the actually not beside the point. Do you remember Bobby Wilson?
The coach?
He's coaching for the Rangers now. He's the catching coach for the Rangers.
Yes.
Well, anyway, I had a thing with backup catchers. I always vibe with backup catchers. So Chris Jimenez and I were thick as thieves. Even Mitch Garver for a minute there when he and Jason Castro were going back and forth. But Bobby Wilson wasn't with the Twins all along, but every time he'd get a hit, and in fairness, wasn't that often. Bobby was more of a defensive first catcher. He'd get to first base and he'd do like this monocle thing. Like I thought he was being like Mr. Peanut or something. And those curiosities are what would lead me to write some of my best stories. And so I went to ask him, I said, are you doing the Mr. Peanut or what? And he goes, oh, dude, Dan Gladden taught me about the eye of the tiger. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, it's this little charm. And then he hands me one and says, here you go. This is for good luck. And that's how it's the eye of the tiger. And that was his good luck charm that Dan Gladden had given him. And he had started hitting better. And so he just totally bought into it. And he said, I got it this day. And I looked back at the numbers. I was like, hey, like a 740 OPS or whatever. For a backup catcher, that's pretty good. And but what also was funny was I was in Milwaukee on the 4th of July. I think it was 3rd of July in 2018. And Bobby comes out and sits down at a laptop and announces to the entire room, I got to figure out my bleeping swing. And like, it was just like hilarious. And it was on the heels of him passing out and he being taken out of a game and getting an IV. I tell you, I could write a book on the 2018 Twins, and I only went on 2 road trips. And so, anyway, Bobby Wilson, Eye of the Tiger. That's my Bobby Wilson story.
That's great reporting, Brandon, that you picked up on that. I mean, that is a component of, what makes a good reporter, being observant like that. As Yogi Berra, another catcher, once said, you can observe a lot just by watching.
My best stories like that, and again, not what we're talking about today, but we'll just have some fun with it. Kurt Suzuki using an axe bat. I found that out before anybody else and wrote the story. I scooped Mike Berardino on that story, actually.
An axe bat, did you say?
Yeah, so it's the handle of the bat. And it was shaped differently to make a better swing path.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was the year he was an all-star. So for the Twins. And then one other one was, what did I pick up on? Oh, I was just talking to Addison Reed. He would always pop his hat up when he'd walk off the field between innings. And he's like, oh, I just hate wearing hats. So I do that as kind of a preparation to taking the hat off. And so for me, that kind of minutia was, that was what I really liked about reporting, was noticing things other people didn't and making a story out of it. And a lot of times it's a lot of fun.
There's something to extrapolate out of that you can, I suppose there's only so much that you can learn about a player in that way, but you do learn a little bit more about how they think, and maybe you can apply it to other parts of their game or whatever. But that's the kind of stuff as a consumer, as a reader, I like to read about as well.
And by the way, today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a new $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Yeah, actually, I'm gonna tell this story. So on Father's Day of that season, I thought, you know what? I've never read a story asking baseball players about being fathers, right? Like it's something they do. And every Sunday you see them come through with the kids and all that. And so I thought, oh man, I've never read a story like this. I actually wrote 2 stories that year. One about Logan Morrison and Ryan Presley, who both lost their dads when they were like professionals, but very young. And I pitched it to them from this viewpoint that I lost my stepdad, who was my adopted dad when I was young. And so I was talking to them on their level, made for a great story. But then I was like, you know what? We don't talk about baseball players as fathers. So I'm scanning the room and I'm talking to Addison Reed, tells me about his daughter, and she said she was goofy and whatever. And Logan Morrison tells me about his daughter, Iley, ILY, which was kind of a cute story because it's short for I love you. And
that is cute.
Yeah. Well, I got to meet his wife. He actually had some KC ties. So when I was in KC, I got to meet his wife, lovely lady. And that was a lot of fun. But anyhow, so I'm scanning the room. I talked to A-Ray Adrianza. His daughter's a dancer, and he just lights up. Zach Duke talks about his kids, lights up. Chris Jimenez, actually, no, it's Bobby Wilson. I don't think Jimenez was there yet. I think it was a different year. Anyhow, I get over to Lance Lynn, and have you ever heard this story?
Keep going.
So I'd seen Lance Lynn with I think it was a daughter, and she'd be playing with like Zach Duke's kids. They were about the same age, whatever. So I thought, oh, hey, I'll talk to Lance Lynn. I've been trying to break the ice with Lance Lynn because I saw how funny he was in his interviews on Cardinals TV. I'd done my I'd done my legwork. And he goes, actually, I'm divorced and my wife never lets me see my kids.
Oh my God.
I was like, ah. So I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, you ever walk away from talking to a player and you just can't get away fast enough?
I know. Yeah. I mean, I've put you didn't know it was innocent. I don't think he took it out on you, but you still feel like, boy, did my foot tastes terrible. I've got to get it out of my mouth right here. It's just the worst feeling in the world.
I felt like an ass in the donkey sort of way. But yeah, no, we didn't hit it off, which I thought we would. And then he got traded. And that was kind of my solace. I was like, all right, dude, well, you're getting traded in a couple months, so I guess it'll be okay. I'll be here long after you are. And then actually he saw me in the hallway a couple years later when he was a Ranger. Gives me the head nod. And I was like, I was not expecting that. Like, kind of acknowledges me. And I'm like, whew, not expecting
and you're not so horrible after all, okay?
Yeah, maybe he saw the effort. But yeah, he was miserable at that time. And I don't think I helped that at all. Let's talk about Ibata and then our friends at Jase. And then you and I are going to dive into the details of Amazon getting in the business of baseball. well, maybe not baseball, but broadcasting baseball. But first, again, a word from Ibata. So the new year means resolutions for a lot of people to save money. So if you stop shopping and you don't get anything in return, if you start getting cash back with every purchase you make, though, you can use Ibata and you don't have to stop shopping. Who wants to stop, right? After the holidays, we could all use a little extra cash in our pockets. I know I'm no exception to that, especially after all the gift giving. We still got to buy our everyday things. So if you want to make sure you're getting cash back on all your everyday essentials, Ibata is the way to go. And it's officially soup season, so you can get all your ingredients and get cash back besides. Are you a big soup fan, Dave Brown?
I am. I find it hard to soup. You said not
Yeah,
suit.
soup.
I find it hard to find good soup. It's sort of like finding you can. It's finding mid soup is easy. Like whatever, I'm going to eat this. It's going to fill me up a little bit. It's
Yep.
hard to find good soup. It's in a can or those salad bar type deals. I like good soup. I would like to have more. Tell me where I can find it.
Yeah, chicken wild rice is my go-to, and I actually had a really good French onion one the other night.
Yeah.
But I want to learn how to make those. And Ibata, the free app, gives you cash back every time you shop on hundreds of items, groceries, beauty supplies, toys, you name it. The average Ibata user saves up to $145 per year. Actually, it's $145 back in their pocket. That's like an entire shopping trip for an average size family. Or you could, hop on a flight, help save for that vacation fund, that fun stuff too. But you can join over 50 million people saving and earn cash back every time you shop from over 2,700 brands and retailers. Simple ones like Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, places we drive by every single day. So right now, Ibata is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibata using the code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. And that's exactly what I did. I have that in my account. I'm rip roaring ready to go. Just go to the App Store or Google Play and download the free Ibata app, Ibotta, kind of how it sounds, I guess. I don't know. To start earning cash back and use the code Locked On MLB. That's Ibotta in the Google Play or App Store and use the code Locked On MLB. Also, our friends at Jase are getting in on the action. And we've been talking about, it hasn't been that much to talk about baseball wise with the Twins. So it sometimes can be kind of hard to separate from that. But the reality of life is that we're in flu season, we're in cough and cold season, and it's hard to find some of these medications. And that's where the Jase case comes in. I can't imagine feeling worse if me, but especially my family, couldn't get what they need to help with whatever they're dealing with. And that's why Jase Medical exists. It's a Jase case. It's a pack of 5 different antibiotics that treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, UTIs, respiratory infections, sinusitis, skin infections, and much, much more. That could happen to any of us. You, me, Dave Brown, anybody. Visit jasemedical.com and complete your physician encounter. It will be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's never been more important to be prepared than today. Go to Jase Medical, Jase medical.com, and use offer code Locked On to get $20 off your first order. Dave, no sooner do we talk about the weather, but St. Paul Saints announcing that the pre-sale for games is coming up here. Special pricing for first 21 early season games. So it'll be fun to read what that press release says, but I'm assuming it's something based on price versus temperature, which those are always fun promos. They would happen in like Rochester when the Twins were with the Red Wings. Rochester's not a super warm place either. But yeah, it's kind of hard to believe we're going to be talking about baseball here coming up. But, there's going to be meaningful baseball in Minnesota in 10 weeks about.
It's funny to link it to temperature too. I've heard of if the Chiefs score 35 points, it's 35 cents for a quarter pounder. Maybe I made that up, but something like that. And it would be funny to link it to temperatures, especially up where you are.
Yeah, sounds good, but also kind of gross. But no, not my problem. So sounds as though Amazon is getting in the game. Evan Drellick is the guy to read. The Athletic. He's been on top of labor and kind of like I'm trying to think, like would it be Andrew Marchand, who's probably well-known nationally clicker for kind of these stories too? Those are the two guys I would lean on. And basically, so what we're seeing is that Amazon is going to fund Diamond Sports, or is going to. The headline is Diamond Sports to receive Amazon investment in bankruptcy plan, and then Evan Drellick and Mike Vorkunov say, what does it mean for MLB, NBA, NHL? Now they list some specific teams, but it sounds as though any team under the Bally umbrella, whether it was Bally that expired at the end of the year, like the Twins, or other teams who may have existing contracts that are coming up, could expect to be kind of pulled into that. What is your understanding as far as, like, I know they've talked about Twins fans won't have to worry about blackouts anymore, and they won't have to do this and they won't have to do that. Do you really think it's going to be as simple as me jumping on Amazon Prime and watching the Twins at 7:10 p.m.?
I mean, I have a feeling we're asking a couple different questions. The blackout thing, I've heard Rob Manfred talk about how he wants to eliminate them, but I've also heard that his timetable isn't necessarily, April 1st on that. I think they're working toward that. So I don't, there's a lot of I don't knows here with this.
That would be the worst April Fool's joke of all time, by the way.
It would be.
Or one of them.
Well, at least we know opening day starts before April 1st. So I don't know for some teams. So I don't know exactly if that would be applicable. But yeah, that would be quite a womp womp. Mm-hmm. Blackouts, I don't know. I think we are going toward, they want to maximize their revenues, and with people cutting cable and trying to consume Major League Baseball in other ways, it's a very uncertain time, even with this information. I think MLB was of the mind that the Bally people, the Diamond people, weren't going to be part of the deal. And I think they're surprised that, and I mean, that they still have life and that they've made a deal of their own with Amazon. I think MLB was kind of waiting and hoping and expecting, and maybe correctly, that Bally was going to go belly up. But they're still, making themselves part of the deal. So it's possible that the Twins could return to Bally Sports or something maybe named a little bit differently in 2024. We're still not sure. They're still negotiating. The Twins could be part of the deal, but since their contract has expired, maybe they won't be. It's hard to imagine, though, MLB not including Amazon in the deal, because they're willing to give over $100 million cash right now. So, I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at. I mean, it doesn't get them through forever, but it gets them through for the moment.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, is it Bezos? Jeff Bezos probably just pulled out from behind his ear. That's $100 million. But
right.
I respect you not going Bally up on that. You said belly up. You did not say Bally up. So I respect that. And I don't want you to besmirch your former employers, because that's not what we do here. But do you feel like Bally dropped the ball in the negotiations with cable companies? Because I felt like, okay, so I'm here in Minnesota, and the only way I can get it is either cable or some kind of cable subsidiary. Like, I have DirecTV Stream. So I don't have the cable boxes, but I do have it online over, Wi-Fi, whatever. But the fact that they weren't available in a lot of very normal, easy to access places. Then on top of that, the app has been a nightmare, unstable, doesn't load like you want it to. It kind of feels like there are myriad issues. Where did Bally go sideways? Was it demands in negotiations with cable companies? Was it all the above? What's your thought there?
There are a few different places where they went bad. I'm not sure entirely where they went right, other than, sometimes the broadcasts are fine as far as the talent and putting together a game, and it's average, whatever. They can do that. They're good at that. You mentioned the app. It's like half the product at this point. It's not, baseball's like one half and the app is the other, and they never got the app right. They never got the technology right. Like you said, and you didn't even have to have it. All you had to do was have a Twitter account paying attention to people complaining about how they can't watch the games because the app is so bad. Half the stories when I would publish something and make note of it on Twitter, the replies, half of them would be, "Oh yeah, but what about the app?" Which I didn't have anything to do with, but that's
Yeah.
what people are always thinking about. So consumers, the
I
good the good side of this, uh, no matter how it gets resolved, if you get Amazon involved, is that I don't think people will need the Bally app anymore. They can use Prime, which sometimes maybe has its own issues, but is certainly better at delivering the product than the Bally Sports app. Which, I mean, how could you not be better? But that's kind of
Yeah.
one of the good sides for fans. However, this gets resolved, whenever it gets resolved, that if you go to Prime, there's still hoops to jump through, but at least it's something stable, something that exists, something that we know works to a certain extent. I think that is probably the best thing that comes out of this news now. And maybe the second best thing is it is a rung on the ladder, or a step on the staircase to fixing the blackout issue.
Yeah, the comments on your article reminds me of, I listened to this podcast called Your Stupid Opinions, and it's basically just grabbing reviews of products that are hilarious. And there's like this liquor store in Gary, Indiana, and this person reviews it, and they're like, I didn't even go there. I was just next door at another place, and it looked terrible. 1 out of 5 stars. And it's like, this isn't even related. Or like they rate the parking lot at Mount Rushmore as 1 of 5, and thus Mount Rushmore is 1 out of 5. And then someone's like, why not have it somewhere like Virginia? And they're like, it's where The Rock is. Like, it just goes to show that people don't really have any outlet for their frustrations. And when they do, they still don't use it appropriately.
No, but I didn't necessarily blame them or look at it so much as like, yeah, but what about my story? I understand where they're coming from, and it's funny in an observational humor kind of way. I couldn't really say much about it.
Yeah,
being an employee, and also from 2 standpoints. I didn't want to upset my boss's bosses, basically, and I didn't have anything to do with perfecting the app or making it better. So there's nothing I could do other than let everybody know, well, yeah, this person's unhappy, but everybody knows that the fans were unhappy with the Bally app. So, like I said, hopefully this is, and we'll learn maybe in the next few days after MLB sits back down at the table with Bally Sports, Diamond, and Amazon, and makes this deal happen.
Quick word from FanDuel, and then we'll go to what this means for the rest of the offseason for your Twins. But first, again, as I said, FanDuel. All right, regular season is over with the NFL. Super Wildcard Weekend is over. We've got some pretty intriguing matchups. Dave Brown, are you going to be at whatever they call Arrowhead now coming up here?
At least not this week. I don't know how, because it's in Buffalo, but
that would make sense then. Yeah,
Chiefs game, but it's not. This is not a bad question. If the Chiefs do happen to win, and then somehow the Ravens are upset in their game against the Texans, the AFC Championship game would be back in Kansas City. So there's a chance that I would attend that as some sort of employee or fan or something. So I'm pulling for that. That would be great.
Yeah. Well, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. And that even counts in the postseason with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. So regular season, postseason, you name it. And $150 in bonus bets, you can't sneeze at that, win or lose. The app is super easy to use, and there's lots of different ways. Live same-game parlays, to me, sound super interesting. You can find bets in the new Explore tab, and the parlays show up in the Parlay Hub, which, I don't know, I'm just chomping at the bit to go check out the Parlay Hub, which is the best way to find popular parlays. Lots of other options besides, so visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet today. FanDuel is an official partner of the NFL. All right, so we are into the final segment, and we are gonna break down more about what this new potential broadcast situation sets up for the Twins. Twins have always, under this front office, kind of laid in the weeds when it comes to free agents, but this offseason has kind of been to another level. Now, again, if we didn't have the playbook or what we've seen before of them taking a while to get going in the offseason, we might put more in the fact that they said the budget might be reduced. With that said, do you suspect this coming up is going to change much in terms of the Twins. You know, maybe they now feel like they have enough money to make an offer to Rhys Hoskins or trying to think of who else. Even James Paxton.
Somebody expensive.
Again, $2, not 2 hours, $2, 2 years, $37 million to Marcus Stroman. Again, I think we're kind of honing in on the area that James Paxton could land. Would the Twins now feel like they can do, you know, 2 and 36 to Paxton or something like that?
You know, I just, for questions like this, I go a lot by what I read, what other people read. So fans out there kind of in the same boat, because I'm not talking to the general managers every day to get a feel of what the trade situation is, or will the ice break on free agents and that kind of thing. I kind of get my info secondhand. I have a feeling that we are in that the TV business, the local contracts aren't necessarily going to have a huge ice breaking effect. I get the feeling that teams are, because one, I think that the TV contracts, they'll be settled for this year.
Yeah.
But I think how long the deals are and how much money they are, very much up in question. And two, I think the owners have gotten together, which might be against the rules, I don't know, and said, hey, we're going to hold the line a little bit on the middlemen on these salaries, you know, pay Ohtani whatever you can. But so, I think it's going to be slow going. And I think it'll be like that free agency period a couple years ago where after the
Harper Machado one, wasn't it?
Yes, where it goes really late. I wouldn't be surprised. Or, you know, if players panic, so to speak, maybe they'll take shorter deals and just to get on with it. So,
do you think Stroman did that? Because he opted out of a pretty decent 1-year deal with the Cubbies and ended up taking. I mean,
Stroman's specific situation was so
curious.
strange because he was so bad in the second half last year. It was like there was something wrong with him. Like there was an injury.
Why opt out? Right?
I don't know. I maybe there was no injury and it was just bad results. I mean, confidence in yourself. I don't know. Maybe he wanted to leave the Cubs. I'm not sure.
Could be, but if it's an injury that's bad, getting that extra year and whatever it is, 13, 14 million, maybe he knows it's bad. I'm not trying to cast aspersions on him or his agent or anything, but just very little of it makes sense.
We're in a little bit super duper speculation here. There's lots of stuff we don't know.
Yeah. No question.
It's all, there's a lot of curious behavior going on, from that to what I said before about the teams pulling the closing the purse strings a little bit. That's not really saying, but you know what I mean. So,
but the free agent middle class is getting boned pretty hard here. Like I'll be candid about it. They're getting boned.
Yeah, they are. Of course, everybody always said that that's what would happen. I don't know if it's a self-fulfilling prophecy or what, but that's not necessarily a new concept, but I don't know. It seemed like last year people were spending a little more freely than this year. So I think it's going to be kind of like pulling teeth here until all the rosters are filled.
Was last year the year after the lock? No, that would have been the lockout year. So everything was condensed. I think that's probably why it felt.
Well, and we had COVID too, making
everything up
strange.
Well, they were the CBA. They were fighting over percentages of what players would get paid in the COVID year. So there's been a lot of unrest, even if not necessarily it's always because they're renegotiating a CBA, but because that tug of war between owners and players continues to go back and forth.
It's possible that there's nothing nefarious going on, and it's just simply circumstances leading to this.
I kind of doubt it, but it's possible. I kind of doubt it.
But I also know how the owners are on record as to how they think and how they do business. So even to this point, so I think it's going to be slow going, and I don't see the Twins, even with, let's say they get a new TV deal, putting out $100 million for Rhys Hoskins. I don't see it.
You think he's going to get that? I feel like he's.
I don't know. I was throwing that number out, but
sure.
That makes how long is the deal? I mean,
right. Yeah. There's still more questions than answers. I mean, I hope people didn't listen to this episode thinking we had all the answers, because they're on the wrong podcast in the first place. But
we're kind of with you, people. We kind of are. It's I'm not sure.
he built like me. We're just like you guys. We're trying to figure this out too. And also just do something, Minnesota Twins. I'm not tired of talking about the Twins signing guys like Rondell White. I'm just tired of them.
20 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know we've had people say, yeah, cool. I love hearing about it from that far back because I didn't watch then or I was just starting. And so, but I would really like this.
Well, that's good news for them. The next time you hear us, you'll probably hear more about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, let's hope. But all right. Well, as a wrap, I'm just going to rapid fire because we got to get out of here within about a minute and a half. Pablo starting opening day, as Rocco noted. Kind of early to announce that, but whatever. It's not like it was a secret.
Knock on wood for health.
Well, and especially Sonny Gray's not there anymore. He's kind of the other option. Sandy Leone to the Royals. Big implications there. Minor league deal.
You're being sarcastic.
Yep. Steven Gonsalves, former Twin, minor league deal with the Dodgers. So he's going back home to California. Stroman deal official. Tyler Nevin DFA'd for Devin Sweet. Nevin for Devin. I just wanted to say that. Hunter Dozier with the Angels, minor league deal. Garrett Cooper has some interest from the Brewers. I think he could make sense with the Twins. And in 30 seconds,
Brewer.
On 30 seconds, what can you tell me about the White Sox getting a new stadium?
They don't need one, really. The stadium is not great, but it's fine. This is probably a distraction because of all the other bad news that's been going on. It gets them into a new place, but Terry Reinsdorf's 87 years old. By the time the thing actually gets built, is he going to be here? I don't know. It's a boondoggle. They don't need it.
I love that he said that he doesn't play bridge and he doesn't golf, so he just stays with the baseball team, even though it's bad. That absolutely delighted me. But hey, we got to get out of here in the next 10 seconds. So thanks everyone for checking out Locked On Twins, and we'll see you tomorrow.